Welcome to QCC's Face the Region. Face the Region is produced by Quinsigamond Community College to assist our region in attaining educational, economic, and personal prosperity. Now, here's your host, WCRN's Hank Stoltz.
Hank Stoltz with you on QCC's Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. We're so pleased to have Peter Tamulus with us today, Business Development Specialist here at QCC. We're talking about workforce development. So tell me a little bit about what it means to be a Business Development Specialist at Quinsigamond Community College.
Well, my role at the college is with the Center for Workforce Development and Continuing Education. And what I do is interact with various businesses and organizations, for-profit, not-for-profit, in the community to see if there's some way that by partnering with the college, the agency or business can better meet their organizational goals and meet their projections for the year.
Now, is that something that is, for example, I know that the city of Worcester has workforce development. I guess that's where I probably know it best from. Is that unusual for a college? Is that something that a community college would have, someone who is in your position that perhaps other institutions would not? Or would most colleges have a workforce development specialist?
I think all of the community colleges have people that are working in the area of workforce development. And more you're seeing four-year colleges get involved in that as well, the state universities within the city as well as other private colleges. So it is something that is of concern to everyone, trying to meet the workforce needs of the community.
And, of course, wanting to keep the students who come here to QCC right here in central Massachusetts.
Oh, absolutely. There's absolutely no reason why someone who goes to school here has to leave the area.
Have you seen, you've been here how long?
5 years.
5 years. Have you seen, even in that time period, in that 5 years, that the college, Quinsigamond Community College, continues to kind of keep up to date? You're out there, you're talking to the employers, you're seeing what it is that they need, and then does that get reflected in the courses and the certificates that are offered here at QCC?
The college works very hard to try to stay on top of the situation, and the way they do that is by maintaining good contact and relationships with the businesses and organizations within the community. What we do in workforce development is not go into a business or a company and say, here's what you need and here's how we can provide it. It really starts with developing a relationship to find out what it is that they need in order to be successful and then matching our resources to that.
Peter, would you say that most of these businesses too? I mean, is it any particular kind? Is it larger businesses, for example, that you sort of target, or is it really every business in the area?
It's all businesses, from the smaller companies, which make up the vast majority of businesses in central Massachusetts. It's not the companies that employ 1,000 or more people that are employing all of the folks in Massachusetts. The vast majority of companies have probably less than 50 employees, which presents a whole new set of challenges in terms of their meeting their needs through some type of workforce development.
All right, so how does it work? And maybe we'll go from the business side first. So the businesses are here in the area. They're in contact with you. You're talking to them. What's the back and forth like?
Well, again, it starts with what is it that you have going on in your company that's causing you some kind of angst. You know, what is it that's preventing you from meeting your goals and objectives? What is it that you see in your workforce that could use some improvement? It might be something as simple as, well, we've got a new software package coming in, or we're upgrading our Microsoft software, and we're going to need a bit of training on getting our staff used to the changes in that software, the additions, the upgrades. Is that something that you can do? And we can find resources through workforce development in our contacts that we have with independent contractors in the community, or through the adjunct faculty or the full-time faculty here at the college.
So through the adjunct faculty or through others, because of course, I mean, there's so much expertise, then so many people who come from the private sector who are now teaching. Is it also, though, then how does it translate to the students? So it's not like an internship, or is that sometimes, can it be like that? Or I'm remembering back in high school where you'd sort of have a work-study program. You'd spend half your day in class, you'd spend the other half going out and getting some practical hands-on training.
Well, what you're really looking at are two different branches of the college that work together. The training that I get involved with businesses and in industries are for their incumbent employees. So these are people that are already working there, some of whom might be taking classes at the college, but it's really geared toward identifying their population and what we can do to assist them in increasing their skills and competencies. The other the other side of the college is the work that we do on the for-credit side, the academic side, preparing people for work in different industries, different jobs, who are here as a traditional student right out of high school, or more often the non-traditional student who's coming back after they've been out of school for a while, looking to improve their prospects in life in terms of getting a career path that will lead them somewhere.
Straight ahead, I want to talk a little bit more about that career path and some of these other students. Of course, it's lifelong learners here at QCC, and really somebody who's 18, it could be somebody who's 28, it could be somebody who's 58. Want to focus in on that straight ahead. Peter Tamulis is with us, Business Development Specialist here at QCC. We're talking about workforce development today on QCC's Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830, WCRN. And Peter, as we were just saying, boy, lifelong learners. So it really is all of these different ages. Interesting as you're working with these businesses, you fill their needs in a number of different ways, whether it's people who are already out working in the community and you're sort of the liaison, you're sort of providing that contact, whether it's people who are actually on the faculty here who have that expertise, or whether it's students who are coming here and in some cases gaining that expertise. But it sounds as if also people who are coming back and maybe 30 years ago the career they were in was the career to be in, and all of a sudden, listen, I think we all know that in this economy you could be 48, 50 years old and things have changed and you've got to come back and you've got to get some training. Is that part of what we see here at Quinsigamond Community College?
Absolutely. There are folks that in the last Great Recession lost their jobs because the businesses did not have the capacity to keep as many people on as they did. And very often the businesses invested in upgrading their equipment and brought in equipment that was computerized, which was something foreign to the people that had been working on site prior to that. So that there were new skills that were needed in order to accomplish the same task. What you sometimes hear when you talk about manufacturing facilities, it's not your grandfather's manufacturing facility. And one of the problems from both an employer's point of view and a training point of view is that there are still a lot of folks out in the community, parents, who don't understand the opportunities in manufacturing because they're thinking they want to keep their children out of that dirty, grimy environment.
Right. They're thinking of, those three, you could be working at 2 in the morning and the factory floor is not a very safe place, or as you just said, grimy, poorly lit. But it's not that, as you just said today. I mean, these are high tech, really.
In many cases, there are. Now, that is not to say that those companies that have not moved into advanced technology, who are very much involved in a very intense hands-on approach, those are good places to work. Someone has to fill those positions. But for a lot of the newer jobs that are hitting the market, it's requiring the ability to deal in technology that they may not have been familiar with when they left the workforce because of the recession. Yeah. And so a lot of that, and the state is doing a lot through the career centers to try to get people back up to speed in terms of, you left a position where you did not have to have those kinds of skills. Let's see what we can do to get you up to speed to to get you in the right place.
Right. Now, once somebody comes and get them up to speed, then is there a mechanism where the college, makes that match? And I guess the reason that I ask that is because sometimes it seems as if you would be able to. Sometimes, of course, somebody would come and and you might have an employer who needs somebody now, but a year down the line when the student is trained, or it may be different needs. So how easy is it to kind of have that pipeline from student to employer?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I tell employers when they ask me that. I will tell them that if you're looking for an intern, or if you're looking for a person to fill a current opening that you have, I will pass that off to the part of the college that deals with that in terms of career placement. I don't get involved in that directly, but I'm able to I can be the pipeline between the employer and the college in trying to meet some of those needs. And we're always, as the college is always looking to increase the interns and work placements, work study placements they have out in the community, so that getting that information directly from the employer helps to facilitate that.
Peter, your own background and how before you came to Quinsigamond Community College, you said you came here 5 years ago. How does your background kind of perhaps play into your ability to be able to facilitate this? You've kind of been on that other side then.
Yeah.
You've seen what it is that businesses want. You've been the person saying, hey, here's what our business needs.
I think the biggest thing I've learned is that when someone like me would come to see me in my previous roles, they would sometimes come in telling me what I needed when they didn't even know who I was, what the company did. They were selling a product. And I know, based on my experience both in not-for-profits as well as in manufacturing, that there are a lot of demands being made in the workforce, and that what needs to be done is for someone to come in and understand what we're doing. And as a purchaser of that kind of service, I'm more than interested in meeting my needs. That's what businesses are there for, to either make the product, make the widget, or provide the service. But the other side of the table, the person facing me, has to understand that. So that's what I can bring to the table. I understand the manufacturing process. I understand what it is to run a 24/7 operation and what that creates in terms of training kind of scheduling issues. And I know what it's like to be in a smaller businesses where, in some of the companies that I've talked to, where I tell them, we can do something, we can arrange something with the Express program and the state workforce development program, where it can be individual for one person. And the person, the owner or the manager will say, if I give you one person during the day, I've lost 20% of my workforce. So there are some unique things that you have to deal with. So now you try to talk about how can we meet those specific needs.
Yeah, and you just mentioned, the state workforce development programs as well as are out there. Certainly the Center for Workforce Development, Continuing Ed that is here at Quinsigamond Community Colleges, at the other community colleges. Do they work together as well, or is it really sort of unique to the region? I mean, would it make any sense for Quinsigamond Community College and Workforce Development here to be speaking with people on the Cape or in other parts or out in Western Mass, or pretty much I mean, here in Central Mass, for example? I mean, biotech, certainly people working in the hospitals, and maybe that doesn't translate as well.
Well, there are two parts to that. First, that all of the colleges and all of the community colleges have a version of what we do. They might call it something a little different than what we call it, but they're all involved in workforce development. And that group meets on a quarterly basis. So we're talking, we're learning about what other people are doing. They're learning what we're doing. We steal shamelessly from one another. If it's something that's working in their particular region, we will seek their help in finding people to do programs.
Good. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Why reinvent the wheel? If something is working for another community college and we have the same needs, then we'll build on their experiences.
Right, right. So there is that conversation that is going on. At the same time, obviously, the needs of some areas are unique, but the state involved in this is as well. So community college is speaking together, but you're also speaking with the state and their workforce development, or the cities and their workforce development.
Both. The Workforce Training Fund has staff that is willing to come out and meet with employers, and what we have organized meetings where we'll send out the notice for different employers to come together and learn more about the Workforce Training Fund, meet with the folks in the city and say, look, we've got something, a possibility of a grant. Can you give us some assistance in finding people who might be appropriate to participate in the training program? If any segment of the network decided to work on their own, they would not be successful. Everybody has to work together.
Yeah, it has to pull together. Absolutely. Our conversation with Peter Tamulus is going to be continuing. Straight ahead business development specialist here at Quinsigamond Community College. This is QCC's Face the Region, and this is News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. QCC's Face the Region rolls on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. I'm Hank Stoltz. We're speaking with Peter Tamulus. He's Business Development Specialist here at QCC. We've been talking about workforce development in this episode of Face the Region. Peter, I kind of wanted to ask you, as we've been talking, and we've been talking about the way in which you speak with businesses, they tell you about their needs, of course, that the students who are here. Are there ever, where it sort of is as direct as the employer says, listen, I got a guy, and I'm telling you, do you have a program that we can enroll him in because we need him to be up to speed? And it may not be. He may be an engineer, but he may need some other area of expertise. Listen, I've got an engineer. We're going to put him on the road. He's going to be speaking in front of people, and he's nervous about it. Can you get him a public speaking class? Can you get him a theater class or something like that? Is that a part of this as well?
Absolutely, Hank. And it's interesting you mentioned the ability to speak in front of a group, because one of the things that we have found when we've been doing some forums over the last couple of years with different employer segments, healthcare, IT, manufacturing, one issue that they have that crosses the industry segment is interpersonal communication. And it doesn't mean that these are people who are just coming out of high school or have a little bit of college. We had one employer who was employing master's level engineers and said that they do a great job in the office, but I'm afraid to send them out in public because of their communication skills. So our segment of the college, the Center for Workforce Development and Continuing Education, publishes a catalog several times during the year, and we offer standalone courses as well as certificate programs in different areas like Microsoft Office or in the healthcare area, so that if the person has an interest in getting into healthcare, they can begin with a non-credit, not-for-credit program, get the skills necessary to enter the field, such as a nurse assistant, get the skills to pass that test. Then they are in healthcare, and then they can look at how can I move forward and improve my skills.
So, Peter, so there are a couple of things happening here. So, one, and let's come back to their certificate programs. The certificate programs we've talked about in the past on some other shows with some specific automotive pops into my mind. But those standalone classes, that's interesting because, of course, so somebody has, and maybe they already have a 4-year degree, maybe they don't, but what they're really looking for is sort of that nighttime class perhaps fits into their schedule. That is going to give them that particular skill that their employer has said or indicated to them that they are lacking or they are going to need to be able to get ahead. But that may not lead to a certificate, and it certainly isn't that it's going to be I've got to go back to school for 2 years. That really maybe is just a semester-long commitment. May lead to something else, but may just be that one semester.
But it doesn't have to be a semester-long issue. Whether we're talking with individuals and they're looking at our catalog, a lot of the classes are scheduled at several times, over several times over the course of the year. Many of the offerings we have are kind of subcontracted out so that they're done online. So they have the ability to not only take a face-to-face class, but also an online class. And when we are involved in doing a program within a company, we're not talking, again, with them about here's when you can take that class. It's when do you want to take that class?
Ongoing, sure.
Do you want to do that in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening? Do you want to do it on weekends? When do you want to start it?
Boy,
we're not locked into
Yeah.
the semester. That's one of the flexibilities that we have for the non-credit classes.
Yeah, that online capability, boy, you talk about how things have changed to be able to do that. That flexibility is tremendous. We do have a couple minutes left, so I do want to come back, though, to the certificate program as well. So now here's where somebody can come and get a certificate, and that will allow them, many, I'm sure, of their jobs would require them to have a certificate in something, and would allow them to move up in the company. Maybe they started there. I could say, the kind of the proverbial mailroom, and they're saying, in order for me to get ahead, I've got to go back. In order for me to get this job that has been posted, I've got to get that certificate.
Yeah, and you mentioned the kind of person who is already has a 4-year degree.
Right, exactly, and is coming back. Lifelong learners, as we stated before, but somebody who is coming back, and either it's still in the discipline that they got the 4-year degree in, or it could be that their job has moved, as we talked about earlier. Their job's moved in different directions. But this, I guess, part of what I'm seeing is that you don't necessarily have to go back to get your master's, or go back and get another 4-year degree, or even a 2-year degree. There are these other options open to you.
And what those certificates focus on are the skills and competencies that are required for those particular types of jobs, whether it's an admin job in an office where you need to improve your Microsoft skills, so you can get a Microsoft certificate that covers many of the different programs that they have, so that now you're not, if you're not interested in getting the full academic degree, and you don't really want to start taking the history classes and the English classes, where you're focused on your career, which doesn't require a degree to move in the direction you want to go in, then the certificate offers that. It's focused on what is it that you're looking for. Here are the skills and competencies that you will be able to show your current employer or a future employer that you've mastered based on this certificate.
Boy, terrific. Great things happening here at QCC, as always. People want to find out more about workforce development at QCC. Best just to go to the website. Is it good for them maybe to contact workforce development or the Center for Workforce Development directly?
Well, if they go to the college website, on that will be a link to the Center for Workforce Development and Continuing Education, or they can call us directly at 508-751-7900. And the folks there that pick up the phone will transfer the individual to the appropriate person to talk to. And if it's not in our office, we'll make the link to the larger community.
Very good. Thank you so much, Peter Tamulus, Business Development Specialist. Thanks so much for coming by today.
Thank you again for having me.
Appreciate it. Great conversation. Thank you, as always, for being with us right here on QCC's Face the Region. I'm Hank Stoltz on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN.
This has been Quinsigamond Community College's Face the Region with your host, Hank Stoltz. Join us again next weekend on AM 830 WCRN.